This is the easiest freaking dinner I think I've ever come across. So I've got almost a whole container of, like a 10-ounce container of grape tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes if you wanted to. These tomatoes I found, though, were just so freaking pretty. I had to use them. They actually reminded me of heirloom tomatoes. Let me show you why. So these, I got them from Walmart, and they're called Sweet Vibes. They're grape tomatoes, and they've got like these ridges on them, just like heirloom tomatoes. They're really sweet. And then I've got a few cloves of garlic. It's all going in the same sheet pan, by the way. I've got a few cloves of garlic, and then I'm doing some chicken sausage. Or no, this is turkey sausage, actually. So I'm going to chop this up, throw it in the pan, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Because, to be honest, I didn't think about this. I found this online, and I'm kind of excited about it. Mainly because it's so damn easy. I'm going to chop my sausage into about 1-inch pieces. I don't want it to be huge, but like that. Little bite-sized pieces. And then my tomatoes, I just halved them and quartered them, basically. Cut them into little cutesy little miniature quartered heirloom tomatoes. We've got our cloves of garlic, we've got our sausage and our tomatoes. At this point, I was going to get boursin, like the little chunks of flavored cheese, I guess. But to be honest, this Laughing Cow cheese was right next to it. And for the same amount of Laughing Cow, I could have gotten 2 of these for the same amount that they were charging for the boursin. So we're going with Laughing Cow, baby, because I don't mind unwrapping some little baby cheeses. So that is what I'm about to do. I'm going to get them on my pan. They're going to look nice and cutesy. And then I'm going to cook it. And you're never going to tell that it was Laughing Cow and not boursin. Because, to be honest, I've never even had boursin cheese. Like I said, I don't mind working for a good deal. So, this is me working for a good deal. All right, I worked for my deal. This is what we're looking like. Regardless of whatever cheese you choose to use, you need to add some oil. You can do it all over, but I have a feeling that with this being a sausage-based dish, the sausage might let some oil out. I'm not really sure, but it is turkey sausage, so not that much. But if you use like beef or pork sausage, don't do too much oil because it's going to make enough oil. I am going to season the tomatoes, the garlic, but I'm going to leave the cheese and the sausage alone. Isn't it so cute, though? Also, in the regular recipe that I saw, the one that used the boursin cheese, it used 5.3 ounces of boursin because that's the normal size, and it used 2 of them. I'm not going to use 2 packages of this. I've got 2 packages. I'm probably going to do half of another one because I've got some other cheese that I'm going to mix in at the end. You'll see where I'm going with this once we get to that point. Once I take it out of the oven, you'll see what's happening. But you do you, boo. If you want to use 2 things of boursin, if you want to do 2 things of Laughing Cow, shit, if you want to use brie, use brie because she's delicious. But this is what I'm doing, and it's going to work out. I'll show you in a minute. While our sheet pan of vegetables and sausage is in the oven, I'm going to get my tortellini going. So I've got a pretty large pot going with some pretty nicely salted water. Anytime you do anything that's pasta related, you're going to boil it, you want to make sure that the water is nice and salted, right? So I'm actually going to use this Great Value tortellini. I've never had this one before, but I opted for this instead of ravioli just because it gives you a nice bite-sized piece instead of being a piece that's too large, if that makes sense. So I'm going to get my water boiling. I'm about to pull the sheet pan out of the oven. It's been about 20 minutes. I wanted long enough for the cheese to completely heat through, as well as the tomatoes to get nice and soft and roasty. And naturally, I wanted my turkey sausage to be completely cooked, even though it's smoked or whatever. I want that bitch cooked. We're just gonna cut that off. Now that our tortellini, I was about to say tortilla, our tortellini is done. I've drained everything but about a cup of the pasta water. I'm gonna go ahead and get veggies, cheese, and sausage out, and I'm gonna mix it in with the tortellini. But doesn't it look so good? I mean, the cheese looks a little wonky, but it's fine. I'm excited. I'm also gonna add a few little tablespoons of cream cheese. So remember in the beginning, whenever I was getting my sheet pan ready, and I said I was using less of the cheese that it called for originally? Well, that's because I was planning on adding the cream cheese in, but also I added a little bit of mascarpone cheese in it as well, and this is what we're looking like. Now, I could leave it like this, but I'm not going to. Okay, now it's ready. I'm gonna put it back in the oven, let this mozzarella cheese melt, get my sides ready, and dinner is done.